We're back for day 2. Number dos. Let's see what the speaking schedule looks like. Jim Hill starts at 12. Good. And Tom Nabby? Oh, he's going to talk about Shanghai Disney. That ought to be a good one. That ought to be good. Shanghai Disney conversation. Yeah, we are so here for that. So let's go see if we can find Cheryl and give her her goodie bag.
Is she here?
Her Dayton goodie
bag. Did she say she was going to be down here?
Oh, let's just look around. I want to go look at the Spaceship Earth tile again. Okay, that's fine. Oh, I don't know. What would you rather have, the Soarin' Flight Crew only sign, or the Spaceship Earth tile?
I think the Spaceship Earth tile.
Yeah, it's $25 less too. Oh well. Well, let's look around. Oh, look, color forms. You remember playing with those as a kid? Look at this old. Oh, the Mister would like that, wouldn't he? He loves Sorcerer Mickey.
Oh, thank you.
Magic Knight. Oh, thank you. We've got
I could have done that, but...
Well, yeah, she could have. She could have, but... So, since you were such a great ambassador to us from Canada yesterday...
What is Canada?
She said, well, it's the 51st state. And I said, no, that's not right.
No, he said that.
I said, no, that's not right, Lori.
No, actually, he said that, and I said, no, don't tell her that.
She likes to make stuff up on me.
So what we did, we brought you a taste of Dayton and Cincinnati. So this is all stuff local. So you got me to...
That'll be good souvenirs for... Yeah, that'll be good souvenirs for Tom, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Pork rinds.
See, she has had pork rinds.
No, I haven't, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, we don't eat them, but
they do.
Maybe you would want to.
Yeah, pork rinds do tend to make the news.
Mike Sells is our local potato chip company. That's what they're famous for around here. They're groovy chips.
Oh, I like that they're called groovy.
Yeah.
In Canada, they're rippled.
Oh, well, we have those too.
I like that they're groovy.
But those are completely different.
Yeah. You've never had that. No, I haven't. The next time you come back, you will want to get more. Rice candy is amazing.
Well, especially, I love dark chocolate.
Oh, me too.
I'm a milk chocolate.
We almost just got the milk, and I said, oh, we gotta get both.
And Skyline spaghetti chili.
Yes.
And...
Don't be jealous, Mr. W.
Yeah.
Original.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not like from the restaurant, but it's close. I mean,
Yes, it is. It's got.
Sampling.
It's
no, I mean like it's not like sitting at the restaurant.
Yeah,
Well-
the experience.
It's packaged, but at least you can get a feel for it.
Yes.
You kind of
It's the same stuff that you would get if you were there.
Yes.
No, I'll definitely, Tom will definitely want to try that too.
Yeah.
We'll have to sample it together.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So
That's
thank
the
you very
price
much.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday about how, like, when you watch somebody's vlogs and you finally meet them, it is like meeting somebody that you just haven't, you've known them forever,
Yeah.
but you just haven't seen them in, like, I don't know, a year or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's almost like you pick back up where you left off.
Like a weird family reunion.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Fun meeting you.
Yep.
It's been fun.
And tell Katie we said hi.
Will do.
Yeah.
Yes. You can say hi
I saw
now.
those on your,
Oh, hi.
I saw those on your Instagram. Those are
Still
cute.
available.
Oh, they're really cute.
We're gonna stick around for a little bit and watch Jim Hill talk about Shanghai Disney. That should be
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know whether we're heading out before that or not.
Yeah, I want to hear what he has to say. But guys, definitely check out Our Didnee Side. They are awesome girls. Very And check out Etsy shop.
Yes.
If you, and
Let's make some magic.
yes, let's make some magic. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Let's make some
I think we're gonna get some passports for a future surprise.
Yeah.
So,
for the folks in Shanghai because they, Disney convinced them, and again, you have to understand that the Chinese government is the primary shareholder in this park. They convinced them that they wanted to do the Tron coaster. One of the reasons they did was that we're going to have a Tron 3 coming out this summer. Your park opens, and in fact, 2015, last year, the crew to produce Tron 3 was actually in Vancouver doing the work to get it ready when Disney pulled the plug, largely because of the business that Tomorrowland, the George Clooney movie, did. So the Chinese are, hey, where's the movie to support our ride? Didn't happen. Speaking of which, that we should also talk about that aspect of the park. I mean, you've probably seen the artwork, you've probably seen some photos, and it's kind of intriguing, isn't it, that Alice in Wonderland for that part is not the 51 film, the blonde figure, that sort of thing. It's it's the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, and it's keyed around Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter and that sort of thing. Well, again, and likewise, they're Pirates of the Caribbean. They actually have a pirate land, Treasure Cove, and they have a Pirates of the Caribbean Search for the Sunken Treasure attraction. And in that case, again, it's the Johnny Depp films. It's the but this is what you have to understand about Shanghai Disneyland. Disney was handcuffed by the fact that honestly the Chinese people really do not know the Disney characters. Or any, to be honest, a lot of the Disney IP all that well. So they sort of had to take a step back and all right, so what's been released in theaters and done well over there? Well, Alice did well, Pirates has done well, Tron did okay, and it's like, okay, so they know these. But I think the clearest indication that Disney's in an interesting situation is look at the entrance to the park. You don't have your standard Main Street. You have Mickey Avenue. And so you go in the park, as you go in the park, you're walking past Disney and Pixar characters and restaurants that are themed to them, Scrooge McDuck's, department store and all that. And there's a reason they don't know these characters. And so, they coming and going through the park. It's going in, going out. They're spending time with Mickey, Donald, Goofy, that bunch. In fact, to tell you how concerned about this, the very first thing when you enter this park, you see a statue of Steamboat Mickey. Now again, Disney purists in the room, it's like, no, it's Steamboat Willie. No, in China, it's Steamboat Mickey. This is Mickey Mouse wearing his Steamboat Willie costume. But it's like, at no time, don't confuse them. God, don't get it, Steamboat Mickey. They have to know who these characters are. Not only that, but you may have seen that they actually redesigned the face characters for this park. That was actually a deliberate decision because they were so concerned that, again, in China, they're up against so many other characters. The Pokemon or Yokai Watch or that sort of thing. And it was just a whole notion of we have to make Mickey and Minnie that much more appealing for this market. So they literally redesigned, the most famous characters of the park. And just, it's interesting, it's subtle. They upped their color, they sort of rounded their features so they make them that much more cute. But it's just sort of like, really? They don't even know Mickey? And it's like, oh no, they don't know him at all. They learned so many hard lessons for what happened with Expedition. I mean, honestly, if you go back and read the history of them constructing Expedition Everest, they were so proud of themselves about the way they constructed that ride, because it was like, we've learned our lessons from the Matterhorn, we've learned our lessons from Big Thunder. And it's like, okay, you don't want to be in a situation where the track can actually rub against the building, because that's wear and tear, and you have to go in and repaint it. So, so basically, Expedition Everest is 3 buildings right on top of one another. You have the building at the very center of it, which houses the mechanism for the Yeti. And remember the early opening publicity for the Yeti, it's like, when it lunges at you, it has the force of a 747 taking off, and, giant gimbal that, moves 3 feet, up 6 feet, and then on top of that, they built the track. All right, and then on top of that, they built the mountain, but the conceit of the mountain is, in fact, next time you ride Expedition Everest, take a look off to the side. There's a 6-inch gap between the building, which is the mountain, and your track. The track at no point actually touches. Mind you, if you have to be offloaded if the train E-stops, there's just enough space. In fact, I think there's a mechanism that folds down from the train that covers that gap. But so there's no wear and tear on the mountain. So and in fact, there was, from a maintenance point of view, especially given the tons and tons of concrete they poured to sculpt this mountain, they were so proud of themselves. But so the ride's been operating for 18 months, 2 years, and somebody's doing a maintenance inspection one morning and happens to go into the Yeti building and looks at the floor and the supports that go into the ground to support the Yeti, and there are these giant cracks in the concrete. And it just turns out, and it's one of these things, did nobody study physics? Did nobody, you designed this thing and you didn't think that as the Yeti is swiping with the power of a 747 every 45 seconds as a car comes through, that structure moves back and forth. And what had happened was that finally, over multiple uses of it, the foundation was now cracking. And the Disney safety people was like, oh God, shut that down. You cannot have the Yeti swiping it anyway because it's cracked. And if the support one day, if a key support cracks one day and it swipes and falls on a train, we'll never hear the end of this. That's a multiple lawsuits. And so they're, well, okay, so how do we fix the Yeti? And it's like, well, you morons put it in the building, inside of the building, inside of the building. And the only way to fix this is to go in and tear out the foundation of the building, inside of the building, inside of the building. And it's just sort of like, the plan now is when Avatar opens with both of its attractions, now from a capacity point of view, they can divert attention. It's like, all right, so we can now shut down Expedition Everest for a year, and we can go in with jackhammers. And in fact, that's the other thing that's kind of intriguing is that they ran the Yeti for a long time in what they call B mode. Just basically with just little flashing lights and occasionally they go the lowest possible movement. And they sat outside with clipboards and it's like, did you enjoy the ride? And it's it's a great roller coaster. And it just it didn't the needle didn't move. It's just people were enjoying the ride with the Yeti not attacking them. So it's like, why do we bother? And fixing it. We don't. This isn't an urgent project, especially in a park that has so few attractions. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I know, again, you're a loyal Disney customer, and you don't necessarily want to hear me say nice things about Universal. But here's the thing: we win because this is going on right now. Honestly, there wouldn't be a Star Wars experience if Disney wasn't looking over their shoulder and going, Harry Potter. All right, so we're in the middle of a theme park arms race, and it means that Disney, for years, which has kind of been on its B game because we go anyway. It's like, because some of our favorite old attractions are there, and so we'll go for the new stuff that's kind of overwhelming. And now, because they have real serious competition, they're spending the bucks. Honestly, they're going to do things in the Star Wars experience area that's going to completely blow your mind. Even the shops. The conceit of the shops for Star Wars Land is that the people who are working in the shop live upstairs. So, say for example, you're in Tatooine Traders, you're going to be paid by Disney to show up an hour ahead of time to get in makeup, in costume, because you're going to have a prosthetic, you're going to have a full outfit, and you're going to have a language that you speak with your brother and sister who work in the shop with you. The show is miles deep for, a Star Wars experience. And that's all because of Diagon Alley. That's all because of Hogsmeade. And believe me, Universal isn't gonna, is also kind of looking at what Disney's doing. It's like, okay, you wanna play? Later this year, the Universal's going to announce its third park for Florida, which is going to be built on that chunk of land they just bought last December over by the convention center, which again, to give you in the same window of what happened with them not going ahead with Shanghai, they had that property. They had that property next to the convention center, and again, they took it off the books, they sold it, so Vivendi would, or GE would look at them like, okay, you're affordable, you don't have, I mean, half the problem with the area where this park was going to be is, it was a former missile testing site, so the Superfund aspect of it, just sort of like, nobody wants, theme park, toxic waste, hey, it's kind of a bad mix. But no, they'll be announcing their third park. And, to the young lady at the back of the room there, this is an entirely Nintendo themed park. And so it's not necessarily aimed at our generation, folks. It's aimed past us toward the kids who game and grew up with Mario and, all Luigi and all those characters. And this terrifies Disney.
Why don't you take a look at these? I got these from C.D. Wood's personal papers.
Okay, I was wondering if you went through my desk.
But this is when C.D. kind of was forced out the door by Walt in, I want to say January '56 or thereabouts. He basically cleaned out his office at Disney and then set up a company that was in direct competition with Disney, the Marco Engineering, that walked around the world and created other theme parks. Disney
Freedom Land in New York was one of them.
There you go, and Pleasure Island in Boston, but these have got to be a lot of the restaurants and places when you were a kid walking around, after you sold your 100 papers outside of the park, that you walked by, that you spent that. Wonder if these trigger any memories for you?
Oh yeah, you got to remember that only about 600 employees when Disneyland opened up actually worked for Disneyland Incorporated, okay, for Walt. All the rest were lessees. Even security was Burns Detective Agency, and that's sort of a funny story that Walt was in the park one night wandering around outside of his apartment, and he ran into one of the new security hosts from Burns Detective Agency, and the guy told him, "Well, you can't be out here." And Walt said, "Well, I'm Walt Disney." He said, "I don't care who you are, you can't be out here." And so in turn, I think the next day is when they had their own security force, and no longer had Burns Detective Agency. It didn't take long for things to happen like that in that time frame.
But deservedly so. Nope, right down here.
Former Marine. Mr. Nabby's a former Marine, so thank you for your service.
Yes, number 5.
Yeah, but just wanted to ask you about, how did the Nabby Grabber come about? The Nabby Grabber?
Oh, okay. Now, according to Michael Eisner, I invented those. If you go back in one of the annual reports, he sort of mentions various employees and their contributions, and according to Michael, I invented those. You would think that if they would put an article in the annual report that they would do some sort of research and history on it before they publish, but that's not what happened. Everybody's seen them in the park, the little picker-uppers that you pick trash up with. Okay, when we opened up the monorail at Walt Disney World, in the Magic Kingdom station and in the Ticket and Transportation Center station and the Contemporary, there's a trough. Okay? At the Polynesian, it's wide open, it just drops down to the ground. But in those stations, there's a trough. And there's a gap between the edge of the train and the station platform, maybe 3-4 inches. Okay, and they would drop everything down there. They'd drop purses down there, they'd drop wallets down there, and that's back when we had ticket books, and they dropped their ticket books. The only thing that we didn't have them drop their kids. Okay, never had to fish a kid out of the trough. But in turn, what would happen is they drop this up in there. So they tell us they drop something down inside the trough. So we have to do one of two things. Dispatch the train, ask the guests to wait, dispatch the train, get it past the rectifier station, shut the system down because there's 600 volts DC running down through that bus bar on the side of the monorail. The difference at Disneyland's monorail is the bus bar is on one side, okay, and it's got a sort of a scissor-like pickup mechanism. At Walt Disney World, there's a bus bar on each side. One side's positive, one side's negative. And so you don't want to cook anybody with 600 volts DC. So you move the crane out, shut the system down, jump down in the trough, retrieve whatever it is, and give it back to the guests. Okay. So if you look at the downtime that's associated with that, you know, you're talking a minimum of a half hour to 45 minutes of downtime every time you have to do one of those retrievals. So I kept watching these people pick up all the trash for these picker-uppers. And I went down to Custodio and talked to the manager down there, Roy Young, and asked him if he'd give me a dozen. So he gave me a box, a dozen of them. And then I took those back to the monorail shop, and I did a little negotiation with the maintenance group back at the monorail shop. And you know, anytime they brought their family out, if they wanted to ride up in the nose cone, we'd take care of them. You know, you have the little barter that goes on along that line. And I asked them to extend them from the 3 feet that they were to 8 feet and insulate it. Okay, so in turn we could reach down into the trough with these picker-uppers and retrieve the items. Okay, and so the guys did that. They cut them in half and added a section of PVC in there and added a nylon rope and made sure that we weren't going to have anybody get electrocuted, and put 2 in each of the stations that had troughs in them and had a whole set of backup for those items. Well, as people migrated off the monorail system, well, they got tagged as navvy grabbers. Okay, so you know, go get the navvy grabbers. So we need to get something out of the trough. But you can see how much time that, you know, all we had to do is dispatch the train now, reach down and retrieve it, give whatever back to the guests. The guests could get on the next train and go, and we didn't lose 45 minutes of downtime in having to crawl down in there. Well, as people migrated off the monorail system into other areas in the park, those things didn't really have a name. And so it became the navvy grabber squatty style. Okay, and it sort of matched my body. And that's the story of the navvy grabbers.
Thank you.
Now, if you really go online now, there is a product, and it's called Nabber Grabbers. And I'm not sure if it's a spin-off of Navvy Grabber.
I'm sure it is.
Or the guy was actually named Nabber and built, but they're called Nabber Grabbers.
I think you've got grounds.
Yeah. Could have been your house by the sea.
Oh, just think if I could have had copyright.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we're leaving Dayton Disneyana.
I don't even know how do we process what we just heard from Jim Hill? Remember all those not really spoilers, but all this news upcoming.
There's
about,
some interesting things, and I don't
like World Showcase, a Remy ride going into France. He was saying something about Epcot. Obviously, it's more of an adult park. They're trying to make it more kid friendly, so they're going to start adding more attractions like the Remy ride in Disneyland Paris, and
another ride next to Mexico.
They're going to have another Aztec pyramid.
That's what he said.
By the Odyssey. Wow, I just don't know how to process all of that. Oh, and Star Wars Land. It's going to be an experience where the cast members, even inside Tatooine traders, are going to have prosthetics to make them look like aliens.
Yeah, that they're gonna have to go to hair and makeup every day.
Yeah, that's
wardrobing.
Wild. That's just wild, and it all stems from the wars that they're having, the theme park wars with Universal. So, but that's just amazing.
Because I asked the specific question about, do they have any plans for Epcot specifically for Future World, because you know it needs some work. I mean, Epcot's our favorite park, but it needs some work. And he just kind of went back to that, not saying that they really were going to do much of anything else.
I would have loved to have asked Jim Hill. You know, he was saying something about Disney's overthinking things, and I almost are they overthinking Soarin'? Like Soarin' over the world?
Well, he said it's pretty amazing, but I didn't want to say anything like, yeah, but if it doesn't have the smells and all that, but who knows?
But Soarin' over California was amazing in and of itself. You know, all they really needed to do was add that third theater,
right,
and digitize the film,
right.
And they added the third theater, they digitized the film,
and then they
made the Soarin' over the world, and so obviously they've got the Soarin' over California film digitized for this new, because they re-released it for a month or whatever, and it's about to end soon. But gosh, why not? You know, you even made the suggestion about
why not just have it random, like Tower of Terror, where you just don't know what you're going to get, or like Star Tours, and just that to me would be perfect. But he brought up too how Universal can put things up in 8 months or 2 years, and
he said like a smaller group of people,
right?
And
it does.
Yeah, they don't have to have a committee for a committee for a committee.
Right. They just do it. They talk about it and then they do it. So, maybe Disney's going to catch on to some of that. Well, I mean, they got the third track up to Toy Story fairly quickly. For
Disney standards. I mean, we're talking about a company that took, over a year for a parking garage.
Yeah.
So, although the parking garage is pretty cool, because you know how many free spaces there are at any given time,
it's just a parking garage.
Yeah, I mean, really.
So anyway, for me, it was awesome. But I don't know that I personally would go back for 2 days if I could. Although the subject matter that they talked about was different both days. So that's, to me, what makes it worth it. We like things. We like to have some things, merchandise, but we're not collectors per se. So,
see it and we like it, we get it.
Yeah, but we don't
we can afford it.
Go in with an intention to trade pins or vinyls or something like that.
For me, the awesome
best part was the
speakers, and getting to meet people. We got to meet Cheryl, so
from the Didnee Side. Hi, Cheryl.
Those are really funny ladies.
And then getting to meet Jim Hill and Margaret, who was Tinkerbell, and Terry, who's the Imagineer, and she was amazing. Yeah, she's hilarious. I mean, she just says it like it is. Yeah, and then
I'm gonna go home. We're gonna take the video we shot of Terry and show it to Jillian.
Yeah, about being Imagineer.
Yeah, that's
so. All right. Well, is this a do again next year? Absolutely, and we encourage all of our local friends.
If you're close,
fairly close. We heard somebody just drove from Akron, so to really give this a chance. And
Marion, Ohio, that's pretty far away.
So
West Virginia,
we're
people from West Virginia, and
so we like it, and I think we'll probably do it next year. Yep, 2 thumbs up. So, all right, this is us.
And we're gonna go home, and I think we're gonna show everything that we got. We're gonna do kind of a mini haul video.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe we'll try some food that Cheryl gave us yesterday.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
Hungry, so.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Well, see you soon. See ya later.
Out. Disney in Ohio. Out.
Oh my God.
That's pretty funny. Don't put that in there, no. Okay.